Welcome back, guys. Now we have the next session on attributes and access modifiers. They are very important part of any object-oriented program. So let's have a look at attributes first. Now, basically, attributes, they are the characteristics or properties which describes an object. Object and classes we have already talked about, and these attributes are actually they are the characteristics or properties of that an object. So let's imagine some object like plants or animals. They have certain attributes and they have specific features that define each object, right? Like plants, they have a particular plant family, animals have their animal family. We have seen an example of cat family, lion, leopard, and all are there. Then we have the dog family also. Then we have the plants. Plant classification is there. Pine tree is there. Pine has its own branches. So in classes can be different. Furniture class we have seen a lot of them. Okay, so you can look around yourself and see that everything is classified, and that is what the aim of object oriented programming is. Okay, so they are basically in programming terms, they are the data members that are associated with a class or an object. Okay, and they can be used to store information like the boxes or the variables, you can say. Okay, so attributes, they can be instance or class attributes. Instance attribute and class attributes, will come to this with an example, and we'll be able to understand it better that way. So instance attributes, they are very specific to each object, while class attributes, they will be definitely shared by all the objects of the same class. Okay, so for that, let's take an example of a car. And if we have a car and we create an object, we can create an object of a car to access its attributes or the mm, variables, methods, class. If there are like base classes, some more classes, or you can say uh, nested classes, then also you can use an object of that class and you can access that. But we'll be talking about that in detail in further lectures, but let's concentrate on this. So for let's say, as I said, that let's take an example of a car. So model, brands, color will be the attributes. Okay, now if I say that every car has four wheels, so that will be common to every vehicle. So we'll come to this example and see. Instance attribute, you can say they are attributes that belong to the individual instance. Let's say I'm talking about one particular car. I'm talking about the color of that particular car is white. Then the particular features will be same for the same model. If model is like VSX or something like that, like we have different models these days, Mark 4. In that also we have variants, like low end models are there, high end models are there of the same brand, but and same vehicle also. But it depends, the attributes, that is the instance attributes, will remain same. So in our programming terms, the variables which are declared instant variables, they will be actually for particular instance of a class. We'll be working on the example and you'll be able to understand it more. But when we come to a class attribute, they are basically static attributes, and static, as we know, is different in Java. Okay, so these are attributes that are shared among all instances of a class. Like I said, all the vehicles will be having four wheels. Not all the vehicles, all the cars would be having four wheels. So that is common to every car. But models According to the model, the color could be different, the features could be different, and other things could be different, but wheels will be same. Okay, so class attributes are associated with the class itself, only with the class itself rather than with the individual objects. So it is not concerned with the individual objects, it is more concerned with the class as a whole. So they represent data that is actually common to all objects of that class. Like we have given example of a car. So object could be the same, like manufacturer could be same, number of wheels could be same, and doors definitely could be same. Okay, so attributes can have different data types, and we'll be talking about data types also, such as integers, strings, booleans, or custom classes. They depend on the type we want to use. And like suppose I want to store an integer, I can have int type of a variable. If I want to store a string, although is not a variable, it's a class in Java. So if I want to store name, so I need string. Boolean is your true false, and you have char also, float, double. So different data types could be there. There are more data types. We'll be talking if required in detail about that also. Okay, so attributes can be accessed and modified using methods. So you can use methods to modify or access the attributes. Let's say we take an example. We have get make, that is you want to know the make of a model, a car suppose. And then we have set make, that is you want to set the make of the model. In our case, we are talking about a car. Okay, so attributes, they are important part of object oriented programming because they allow objects to store information about their state, about their state. Okay, how they are at present, that means the value it would be carrying. This information then can be used by methods to perform operations on the objects. So whatever information we are passing, the variables we are passing, based on that we can, the your methods, your program, your code can work on it and perform the operation required. Like we have talked about this earlier also, that whatever information we pass to the code, that means the data we pass to the code, that is process. And in programming, two things are important: your code and the data. Okay, so what is the advantage of having attributes and proper attributes? They make your code modular and reusable. Okay, so you can reuse the code, and that is the main aim of object oriented programming. Okay, and they allow better encapsulation of data, that is protection of data. And also they make your code more readable and understandable, that is better to understand and read also clearly. You can understand the code. Now they can also improve performance by reducing the need to pass data around as parameters. So when you pass on parameters, the copies are formed. So we have to see the memory constraints also. So the proper use of attributes can help you manage your performance also. Okay, so now attributes, let's look at an example. This is a main class. So in one single class we have put this example. Otherwise I could have used base classes and divided the class, but for now it is only in one single class, that is your main class. So we start the main class. We have we are creating instances of animals and setting their attributes. So string line species, that is line, then line age is 5 boolean, that is logical, that is lion is mammal or not. Yes, it is a mammal, true. Then we have for elephant, age 10. Ma- is elephant a mammal? Definitely it is a mammal. Then we talk about snake, which is actually not a mammal, so we have false there. Okay. Okay. So, so far so good. Then how we access that? To access it, we have to use actually the variables directly, the lion species, lion age, and how old the lion is. And then we have elephant, then it is a mammal or not. We are printing that. Then snake, then we print that, and then we have methods like make sound and all. We call that make sound is a method, is a function, basically not a method in this case, which we have declared here. I'll just mark it so that you can understand and see. This is actually the function, actually, since it is within the main class, so we call it function. Otherwise it is a method outside the class, we call it method. Small difference, but functionality is same. Okay, but all the functions by default would be static, as main is static, and the property of static is static can access only static. So you have to make everything static if you want a static method to access other attributes. Okay, so make sound, we are calling make sound with lion species, elephant species, and snakes. We are passing on, and we are just printing whether they make sound or not. The species make a sound, that is, the elephant makes a sound, the lion makes a sound, snake makes a sound, and so on. Okay, so next we come to access modifiers. Access, you can understand from the word itself that access is getting inside something or getting an access to something. So in our terms, it is methods basically, and the variables we are talking about, that the data and the code we are talking about. So it won't be more than that. So they are the keywords actually in programming language and determine the visibility or accessibility of a class or a method or a variable within a program. So they can be access modifiers, could be for the class, method, functions also, and variables within a program. So in there will be a small comparison between Java and Python, because there is some syntactical difference in Python, and I have used it here also, so that you can understand it properly. So we have 4 access modifiers in Java: default, private, protected, and public. There is no default as such in Python. Default is actually your public only, but we'll be having a look at it again with as it is compared. Okay, so modifier default actually is an interesting modifier in Java. When we don't give anything, it is default, and it means that the class, method, or the variable is accessible within the same package but not outside the package. You cannot access it outside the package. You'll see the example also in Python. Public access is the default behavior, so we don't have any default here, it is always public. So let's see an example. We have class, my class, and I put marks equal to 90. That is a default. That means we have not specified whether it is public, private, or protected. So nothing is mentioned, then it is default, and that gives protection also. And display, we are displaying the marks here. And interestingly, when we give default, it protects your data, and it's not that key it is accessible by all. It is only accessible inside the class, right, as mentioned before. So it somehow encapsulates the data, that is protects the data. Encapsulation and all will be talking in the following slides. We'll be talking about the attribute abstraction, we'll be talking about abstraction, and then we'll be talking about other aspects also, right? The 4 pillars we have talked about. A little bit of introduction was given, but we'll be talking in detail with examples. Okay, so let's look at an example of public in Python. We have a class, my class, and in Python we declare a function using def. So initialize self, that is the initial function which is with the class. When we start a class, we can give init, and then we have self.marks is equal to 10. That is a public attribute which can be accessible by from anywhere. So nothing is mentioned, so it is by default public. And in the second method, we have display. We are just printing the score. Now we have created an object here because object creation in Java and Python is different. So I've just mentioned it here. So obj is equal to my class. That is, you're creating an object of my class, and from that object you're accessing your display function or a method, you can say. Okay, so obj.display goes to your code, use code, 10 marks or 100, whatever. That is your choice. Okay, then come to private. Let's talk about private modifier. Actually, it restricts the visibility of a class member or a method, you can say, to only within the same class. It is more or less like default, but default is has more is more powerful. It has more protection than any other. Okay, so a private access modifier, they restrict the visibility of a class member. So in Java, private members cannot be accessed outside the class even within the same package. Okay, and in Python, sorry, in Java, private members cannot be accessed outside the class even within the same package. So we can say, now the second, you can say, in Java, private members cannot be accessed outside the class even within the same package. But in Python, private members are not strictly enforced, but a convention is used to indicate that a member should be treated as private by using a underscore. It is not single, it is double underscore as a prefix. Private and protected, they are different, and in this case we'll be using uh, an underscore. It's a double underscore we'll be using. Now let's see an example. Private integer marks 89, and private void secret, that is, this is for Java. System.out.println, you're printing the marks. So simple. It is a very simple example where we have used the keyword private to declare the variables and the method. In Python, as I said earlier, it is underscore. So self dot underscore marks is equal to 42. Then we define a function private method, and we have a private method is just name of the method. Okay, so it is not that it is a keyword. It is private method is a name. Okay, so we can actually remove that also if we want to, but it is okay. It is you can understand that, but okay, we can remove this part, and we can have only, so that you don't have any confusion, I'll remove private part from this. This is just nothing but this one. So I have to remove it from here also. I'll just remove it. Double underscore is there. So we'll be having the double underscore. And I said it is not a single one. It is a double underscore. Okay. So now let's come back to this. It's modified. Code is modified. So define method. That is method we are making a method name is method only, and then we are calling using an object. Double underscore for private. Now then we have protected. So in Java, the protected access modifiers allow the class members to be accessed within the same package or by the subclasses. That is a class within a class, or we can have a default class that and even and a subclass also, main class, superclass, or the subclass. So even if they are in a different package, the protected access modifier, it allows the class members to be accessed, right? Now Python actually does not have a direct equivalent of a protected access modifier like Java. but it allows or follows a convention of using a single underscore. In this case, a single one. In private, it was double underscore as a prefix to indicate protected members. Right now, let's see an example. In this, we have a parent class. This is Java. Protected. We have to use the keyword protected. Then we have a class, child class, which extends the parent class. And we have just displayed the marks. You can see we have used the word extends to access the parent class as it is protected. Okay, there is a protected member. Okay, now public, this is this time I've used the function where a method, main method, where we can see that how object is created and accessed, because there are now three classes. One is your main class, one is your child class, and one is a parent class. So in we create the object of the parent, sorry, child class, not the parent class. Parent class is the first class. Then the we don't because child class is accessing the parent class, so we don't make an object of the parent class, but we'll make the object of the child class. So child class, we create an object. The name of of this object is child, and new child class, and child dot display displays the this one, the marks here. I have just highlighted it. Okay, so you get the marks from here. You get the marks from here in this. Okay, okay, let me make it here. See, right? So marks in parent class accessed by the method display in the child class, because it extends the parent class. And when we create an object of the child class, not the parent class, and then we can access the method display, which actually will get the marks from the parent class. Okay, so next see the example on with Python. As we said here, that protected attribute is marked with a single underscore. So here you can see that it is single underscore, the marks 42. Then print your marks are, we are just printing a method. And again, this is just method name. This entire is actually the name of the method, not the keyword. Keep in mind, private is not a keyword, or protected is not a keyword in Python. And then we are creating an object and calling it using private method, and this method, sorry, will be called like this. Okay, so you can see it is being called easily. Okay, so you can have four access modifiers. We have public, private, star, and protected. And you can see that I'll just go back and show you that we have the default in Java but not in Python. Then we have protected, private, and public. Okay, so this is what we have here. We have seen the examples, but next, the last one, which is the public modifier, which is actually the default modifier, not the default modifier, but the default modifier for the Python, not for Java, is also very important. So in Java, public access modifier is explicitly declared. That is, it is declared. You are telling that this is public variable, and when a member of a class is declared as public, when we declare a member, that is a variable, as public, or a method as a public, it can be accessed by any other class regardless of whether they are in the same package or a different package. So Java is a collection of packages, keep that in mind. So whether it is in the same package or a different package, if it is declared public, it can be accessed. But in Python, we don't have anything as such, a keyword as such for public. It is by default, it is public. If nothing is declared, it is public. Okay, so Let's see an example. We have public, the keyword in Java, int marks 90, and we are displaying that. And we have not created an object here. The class main class is not there. It's not required in this case, just for the sake of example only. Then let's look at the Python code. We just simply say self.marks is equal to 10, and you scored self.mark. And let me correct this because the variable is used here is marks, so it should be marks only, cannot be mark. So let me correct it a little bit. Okay, so let's make it marks. Okay, right. This is fine now. So self.marks, and it will be access, because marks is the keyword we have used, or the variable we have used in the my class uh, variable. Okay, self.marks we've used as marks, so it should be marks only. Okay, so this is an example of public in Python. All so if you don't give anything, it is not default as in Java, it will be public. Fine. So these are the attributes and modifiers. Access modifiers, very important thing. Concepts should be very clear. Then only you can actually understand the integrity of any language. So for every language, you should know the basics clearly. Okay. So in the next video, constructors and methods will be covered, and functions will be talking about little bit about functions also. The uh, practical, or you can say the thin difference between function and methods, and why we have both in Java. We'll be looking at that in the next video, next lecture. Till then, have a nice time, enjoy learning, and keep learning. Have a nice day.